This is the Greg Bedard Patriots Podcast with Nick Campbell.
Hey everybody, welcome into the Greg Bedard Patriots Podcast, part of the CLNS Media Network. Make sure you check out their YouTube, Patriots Press Pass. You can find me on there. Might be watching me right now. They have a bunch of other stuff. So the Patriots wrapped up, I think it was their seventh training camp practice after Monday and Tuesday were full pads. Today was, from what I could tell, shoulder pads and shorts as they sort of dialed it back a little bit of a slower pace to practice. The Patriots have already announced that Thursday's session is going to be a walkthrough. Friday, we know they have the stadium in stadium practice for season ticket holders and Foxboro residents. Then they have 2 days off after that. The way things are trending with the walkthrough, normally a walkthrough before a practice, and we heard Mike Vrabel use the term scrimmage the other day when he talked about Friday. It really looks like it's setting up to be a fully padded, real scrimmage in the stadium. Now, that is a pretty stark departure from where we were with Bill Belichick. When Belichick had those in-stadium sessions, it was basically like a glorified walkthrough. I mean, I stopped going to them because there was really nothing to be gained football-wise. It was a lot of making sure, doing the kickoffs and the special teams and, a little bit of passing here and there. But nothing really of football substance. So this sounds like it's going to be a big change. So if you happen to be a season ticket holder or a Foxboro resident and have the ability to get tickets, this should be entertaining because I don't know if they're going to tackle to the ground. We haven't seen that. In fact, they barely thud, which is like, say, running backs coming at you, like putting a shoulder, not to knock them down, but just to stop them, get a lick on them. Patriots don't really do that so far under Vrabel. Last year with Drake Maye, they actually tackled to the ground a couple of practices, or at least periods during practice. So this is a little bit different, but it looks like Friday night's going to be different. So I will be there because I think there's going to be a lot to learn. Let's talk a little bit about today. I would say the big headline for me has to do with Jared Woodson, the third-round pick. We've been trying to figure out where they're going to play him. He's been mixing in center. He's been mixing in with left guard. What's going to happen? I think the takeaway for me after today is that I think the Patriots have their starting offensive line, and we're not even to August 1st yet. Now, look, things can change. Injuries can change things, but just basing off reading the tea leaves from what I saw on the field today, I think they have their guys. And, whether that's good or bad, I mean, it's good that they have it right now because that unit can start to build cohesion. You hear reporters every training camp that you get the same question. I'm surprised we haven't gotten it yet. When do you need to know who your starting offensive line is so you can start to build cohesion and those guys can get used to each other and all that? And the coach inevitably says, well, you'd like that as soon as possible, but it doesn't really work out that way. It looks like the Patriots, basically after the first week plus of training camp, have their starting offensive line. And I don't know if I doubt that Vrabel's going to come out and say that, but from observing practice, that's where I am on this. And let me explain it to you. It's a little bit convoluted and, might be drawing lines here and there, but let me see if I can explain this to you. So starts with Garrett Bradbury, who is the center free agent from the Vikings. He went down in Tuesday's practice late. I figured we would see him today, but because those offensive linemen are tough, but whatever he had, he needed a few days. So maybe the Patriots just said, like, look, we're going to go lighter. We're going to have a walkthrough on Thursday. You can take part in that. We have the scrimmage. We're going to hold you out for the weekend. Come back, make sure you're 100% on Monday. Barring any injuries, I think they're going to have their starting offensive unit come that Monday practice. So Bradbury's not out there. How does that mean that they have their starting offensive line? Okay, so when Bradbury went down, the Patriots had two choices. They could have easily said, well, this is an opportunity for Jared Wilson, who we think is our long-term center, or at least that's the thought when we drafted him, even though he had some guard versatility, which Vrabel or Elliott Wolf talked about. This was a perfect opportunity to get Jared Wilson more reps as the top center with Drake Maye, and even this would have been an opening for Jared Wilson to take the position from Garrett Bradbury. So they could have gone that route. The other option was, we like what we see out of Jared Wilson. And you remember the podcast yesterday and on BSJ, I said after yesterday's practice, there's no doubt in my mind that Jared Wilson is an NFL starter like now. And apparently the Patriots agree with me. So the other option was, we like Jared Wilson. We don't think Bradbury is going to be out very long. So let's leave Jared Wilson at left guard. Bradbury will be back on Monday. And now we have our offensive line. We've seen all we need to see. And quite frankly, I've seen all I need to see in terms of Jared Wilson. I still have doubts about Bradbury, but it's pretty clear that the Patriots, and look, I don't rule out Caden Wallace is making a little bit of a move in recent days. I think he was 2-0 in his one-on-ones today. It's possible if Bradbury slips or something like that, they say, you know what? No. Let's go back. Caden Wallace has really taken off since we let him concentrate on left guard. Let's put Wilson back at center. But I'm just talking about for right now, the near term, I think the Patriots have their offensive line, because what they decided today was Jared Wilson is staying at left guard. Not only that, he's not going to rep at all at center. I don't think he did. I could be wrong on that. So they left him at left guard. He got all the starter reps at left guard, even though Bradbury was out. That tells me the Patriots have made a decision. Their starting offensive line as of today, barring injury, is Will Campbell at left tackle, Jared Wilson at left guard, Garrett Bradbury at center, Michael Wenu at right guard, and Morgan Moses at right tackle. To me, that's the only way you could read what happened today. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, look, that's two rookies on the left side of the line. I think a lot of both of them. Will Campbell had a really rough day today. It's going to happen. And he's smart. We'll see how he progresses, or if he progresses. But today was not a good day for him. The day before was a good day. So it's been a little bit inconsistent. And you get this with rookies. And he's going against a lot of good players on that edge. And not a good start. But, two rookies on the left side, a lot of times you might be a little bit scared about that. I think just in terms of maturity and smarts, I have no problem with it. I mean, I think, Will Campbell, at least for now, and I've said that I think that Will Campbell is ultimately a guard. Whenever they can bring in another real option at left tackle, I could be wrong about that. But I do think a lot of Will Campbell, his smarts, his toughness, I think that he will raise the left tackle play for the Patriots from where it was in recent years, and it'll be good enough. And I think Jared Wilson, I just think he's been terrific so far. And, he has great balance. He has great technique. He's smart. He's tough. I love it for now. I do have questions about Bradbury and all that, but we'll have to see how all of that goes. But I do think that the Patriots have their starting offensive line as of right now, in theory, pending other developments. Let's see. Headline number 2. I mean, we could talk about Will Campbell. He struggled today. He did win his first one-on-one rep against Keon White, which was good. He then his other one, I think that was his only other rep. Will Campbell, yes, he was 1 for 1. He badly lost his rep to Braden Swinson. Campbell missed his jam. Swinson slipped inside of Will Campbell, and I put that as a decisive loss for Will Campbell. We've seen this. Will Campbell Keon White was physical with him the first day. That loss, usually when Will Campbell loses, and this is going back to LSU, it's on inside moves and it has to do with his lack of length, because he has to worry about, handling the outside rush that he can overset to the outside and then get beat on the inside. That was one of his weaknesses at LSU, and I'm sure teams are going to target that, but the Patriots are going to work with him on that. That's the way it goes. In team periods, Campbell was my number one down today. He gave up 3 pressures and a sack to Caleb on Chason in team periods. It was a rough go for him. I'm not panicking. This is the way it goes with everybody. I'm sure my buddies Felger and Maz, they're already talking about it, after they whined about me saying, like, why don't you come down here and see for yourself? I don't know why they take offense to that. And the schedule works out since most practices wrap by about noon. Easily time for them to broadcast down there or to get back to the studio. But okay, apparently it's sensitive with them. Belichick's not here anymore. I would like to see them come down because I think they'd learn a lot and they'd inform their listeners and viewers. But evidently that's not what they want to do. I thought it was a good day for the offense overall. Actually, let's put a pin in that for a second, because let's go back to the offensive line, because we talked about the good, or what apparently is good, with Jared Wilson and starting 5. There's a flip side to that. So, and that has to do with Cole Strange. And again, this is going to, go in a couple different directions, but I hope I make it clear. So, with the decision with Bradbury out, along with the decision with Wilson, where, they could have left him at center, or at least let him continue to get reps at center. They decided not to do that. Another decision that they made was they moved Cole Strange to center, and not the top center. He was second behind Ben Brown. To me, this is pretty telling. And to me, the writing is on the wall that this might be the beginning of the end of Cole Strange in New England. And, look, they might be giving him one last shot to show that he can play center. It did not go well the first time. But maybe they're giving him one last shot to show it. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. But the decision of them, remember, Cole Strange was basically the starter at left guard not too long ago in camp. Just yesterday, he had been passed, but Wilson had ascended to number 1 left guard. Caden Wallace was solidly still number 2 left guard, and Cole Strange was basically getting the 3rd reps. He was splitting reps with Caden Wallace, but that's basically not quite 3rd string reps, but third string left guard in theory. So with all these decisions with Bradbury and Wilson, they could have decided to leave Cole Strange if they thought he was still in competition for at least the backup left guard spot, because we know Jared Wilson is now the starter there. If Cole Strange was still in competition with Caden Wallace, they would have left him there. They signed a center, Alec Lindstrom from BC. He's played in the UFL to come in and play center. Maybe they could have done something else. But instead of leaving Cole Strange at left guard, they moved him to center, and he was back up to Ben Brown. So that's basically 3rd string center behind Bradbury and Ben Brown. And to me, this is sort of a Hail Mary to see if it clicks for him at center and he can hang on and maybe be the top, sort of interior backup where he can play center and guard. Ben Brown can't really play guard. So I'm not totally losing hope for Cole Strange, but this is not a good development, because at some point they tried him at center. It did not work. It looked like they were trying to let him focus on left guard. They gave him plenty of runway. He was basically the starting left guard for a lot of this camp, and they have now decided to put a pin in that and move him to center. to me, in most circumstances, 90% of the time, that means he's falling out of favor, and I don't know how long he is for the Patriots. And we'll have to see. Like I said, stranger things have happened, but it does not look good for Cole Strange. Back to the offense. I thought it was a good day for the offense. I had the quarterbacks combining 18 of 23 with a touchdown and 3 sacks. Drake Maye was 10 of 13. He might have had another completion if there were refs there, because on a 3rd and 5 play, DJ James, who continues to ascend and he's getting starter reps, number 30, one of the good stories of camp. 3rd and 5, Drake Maye made a really nice throw, back shoulder throw to Kyle Williams. It looked like it was well placed. The problem was DJ James had his hand around Williams' pads, and it did not let him come back for the ball. I thought it was pass interference. There aren't refs out there, so Maye might have been 11 of 13 or 10 of 12, depending on if there was a penalty there. But Maye and Williams did hook up on the play of the day. It was like 40 plus yards, go route down the right sideline. Perfectly placed ball by Drake Maye into the breadbasket to Kyle Williams. Beat James over the top. Kyle Duggar, and a shocker, did not get over in time to defend. I mean, it was it was right along the sideline in Kyle Duggar's defense. But just a beautiful, beautiful throw by Drake Maye. And, I will add, I thought today it's hard to tell. We don't know exactly what they were working on. It looked like it was sort of, they were going drives and down and distance and things like that. And I thought Drake Maye did a really nice job of identifying the easy money against the defense and taking it. That's a big thing in Josh McDaniels' offense. You're not looking, Drake Maye sometimes likes to look for the big play first and then, maybe come down to something else. This is where, he's thrown in the flat or a quick game, or, he's doing well with that, and it seems very comfortable, and he's making good decisions and getting rid of the ball. I don't think any of the sacks that he had, I think it was 2 sacks for him. I don't think they were really an issue with Drake Maye. So no turnovers, and he's not holding the ball. So I would say so far so good, with Drake Maye. Trying to see what else. Joe Mazzulla was at practice today. I thought there were a couple of good blocks by tight ends and receivers, Hunter Henry, Kayshon Boutte, Jalen Polk. The kickers went head-to-head today instead of the previous couple of days. They each got one day to take all the kicks. Today they went mano-a-mano. They were both perfect. They hit from 30, 40, 48, and 53. Rookie safety Craig Woodson continues to get some starters reps as he continues to do a good job as well. I have in my BSJ practice report, I have all the one-on-one numbers, including some from Giardi. He does the passing while I'm watching the linemen. We had 4 offensive linemen were 2-0. We had 1 offensive lineman, Cole Strange, was 0 for 2. On defense, we had 2 edge guys who were 2-0, and we had a couple of defenders go 0 for. But you can read all about that over at BSJ. That'll do it for now. Make sure you tune into the CLNS Media Network on YouTube, where you get your podcasts. Subscribe, rate, review, all that stuff. It helps us out. Really appreciate it. Probably the next time you hear from me will probably be with Nick at some point on the weekend after we digest the scrimmage. You might hear from me after the scrimmage, possibly. But I would like to wrap the week with Nick at some point. We'll have to see how our schedules go. But anyways, that'll do it from here. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate y'all, and we will see you later on in the week.